Here's a tip. Let's say you bet big on a 4-game moneyline parlay. Your first 3 bets have hit, but you're a little nervous about the last game. Consider placing a separate bet against the team you have winning in your parlay. You're technically a winner either way. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hang in there, it is!
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. I'm Charlie Hume. He is Smylie Kaufman. And Smylie, as a father of 2 that would like some form of like recognition or a medal to be affixed to my lapel here for solo dadding from wake up today all the way until 4 p.m. Eastern. Let me be the first to offer you a hearty congratulations, you and Francie, as you are expecting a baby boy this fall.
Indeed.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, coming along in October. We're excited. And good on you, by the way. All the way from start to 4 p.m. That's quite the deal.
It was a lot of the biggest chunk of the day was spent chipping and putting, which is like,
dude, the green looks good, by the way.
Thank you.
It looks good. Looks like it rolls nice too.
It's a nice roll. It got 4 different pin placements. There's different kind of undulations and slopes, so there's not like it's not like a boring. You'll get tired of it. And the best part about it is Walker and Katic love it out there. And so we had Walker just ripping left-handed 7-irons all day long, and then Katic, I just. You got to work on just the feel of a grip early. Just want to get a club into her hands.
Anna Carter isn't quite got the grip figured out. She basically grips it upside down, doesn't quite even come close to holding a golf club correctly.
Like, are you saying it's like the wrong hand on top, or like she just yeah?
It's almost like she grips it like reverse claw underneath. There's no initial great feel. But what she does really good at, or I should say, maybe not even gripping a golf club, terrific dancer.
That's the world needs dancers. And a lot of joy derived from dancing.
Very ambidextrous, good hand-eye. But right now, we just like dancing to whatever Disney song is on.
That's fine.
And Wicked. We're a big Wicked house.
Oh, we haven't delved into Wicked yet. Maybe we should. I tell you what, we're really going to go on a tangent now. Have you seen The Good Dinosaur?
No, you see, we're much more into the Frozen, Wicked, Mulan. We're in that side of the.
So we did Frozen. In fact, Walker calls it Sven. I want to watch Sven. Perfect. Wait, I know what you want to watch. Good Dinosaur, stumbled upon it just on this recent visit to the in-laws, and I have not completed that movie yet without crying, or with not crying. I get to the end of that movie every time.
What's it on?
Waterworks. It's Disney Plus.
Oh,
it's Disney Plus, and it's just.
We'll give it a shot.
Oh yeah, but just get ready to cry. Like, you're gonna cry. It's gonna happen, and you just got to lean into it. It's like that and Finding Nemo that are just like
we watched Finding Nemo today, or she kind of did in the car, which is nice. She's at an age now where she doesn't necessarily know what's kind of going on during a movie, like being able to digest it in full, but she can sit there and watch something for longer than like 5 minutes, where you know how it was from 1 to 2. They couldn't be like less interested in a movie for more than 5 minutes. You sit them down, you're like, okay, finally. And it's like, okay, nope.
Yeah. It's interesting because finding the thing that's going to hold their attention is such a crapshoot. But then at least like Walker watched The Good Dinosaur, I think 6 times on the ride home from Pennsylvania. Just like restart. I was like, we got to stop. Something else has to be coming out of the back of that iPod in terms of audio, or I'm going to lose my mind. But this is, the joy of having kids. Anyway, I'll say this: I wouldn't worry too much about the grip thing because Kadick, she's grabbing it and then just chew toy immediately. Chew toy.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, you gotta get that out of your. Yeah, take that grip out of your mouth. We're not doing that. I hope Amanda doesn't listen to this podcast because I'm in big trouble if she does.
I would be so pumped if she was, though. And thanks for and Amanda. Make sure to like and subscribe, Amanda.
Leave a 5-star review. I'll tell you what, Smylie, briefly before we get to the meat of this podcast, because we were talking about the state of your golf game last week and you were trending. Found something
good,
mushing the driver, just pumping it out there, just added 10 grams of weight to the back of the driver, moved the sliding weight over to make it more fade bias, narrowed the stance, and it's like I've never felt more supported by my friends than I did on Saturday, where they were just watching me drive like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, thanks guys, we found it.
That's good. It's good to have the fellas really backing you up after good drives,
Dude, nothing gets the fellas going like just a good drive. Like, it really isn't, it's just a great golf feeling having the boys.
It definitely is. Yeah. I went from like trending to like opposite of trending. And now I have quite a stretch of golf, like the biggest stretch of golf I've had in quite some time. I'm in Auburn right now, playing at Jason Duffner's Pro-Am tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, supporting that event. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, doing a little hoopy trip, which I'm pretty excited about. And
who's on that trip? So that's the boys?
I'm not quite sure yet,
okay.
But it seems like it's going to be a good time. And I've heard Hoopy's incredible. Haven't done it yet, so can't wait to report back on thoughts on Hoopy. So really excited. And
neither. I've not done it either, but that's Rory's putter cover. That's a great logo. That little onion logo.
Yeah.
So you got to merch out down there.
I'm definitely going to merch out. And then on the weekend, playing with my buddy Matthew Peacher over at Shoal Creek for our members. So
nice.
I've kind of got like way more golf than I've ever played like in quite some time. So really need to tighten it up. So tomorrow's a great day, being a Pro-Am day.
Yeah.
That it doesn't really matter how you play. You just don't want to embarrass yourself type of thing. It's like you are the pro, That's the one thing that you got to remind yourself sometimes. So tomorrow's going to be a day in which if we can kind of get off to like a good start and a good day as far as just confidence goes, I think we're cruising through the rest of the week. But if tomorrow goes poorly, I think that it could be quite the struggle this week. I'm going to have to figure something out. So tomorrow could be a day where I just try everything.
Listen, I having seen you play golf, I have no doubt that you're just going to, no matter where it goes, you're going to figure it out.
I'm going to figure it out.
I have faith that I do love the visual, like you just staring in the mirror in the morning, getting ready. It's like, just remind yourself, like, you're a pro. Like, don't forget that. I'm a pro. Pro. I get it. Other great thing to report, new putter, like the tinkering. Sometimes you just got to lean into the tinker. Sometimes you get a little lost along the path and you think you have no way back. It's getting dark. And then you crushed, like you pass through the wall and then you're on the other side and you entered like tinkering paradise. And this is the putter, Smylie. I'm happy to report.
Well, there you go. Happy for you. The only thing before we get to the golf is, we like drove into Auburn like late this afternoon, like perfect weather.
It's that time of year.
80 degrees, I got all these kids taking their graduate photos out on the lawn. And it just reminded me, I was like, man, especially like once you like laid eyes on like how young these people are, and you just think to yourself, man, it's pretty far removed since I've been in college. But I will say, I saw these guys out here, they're just throwing the football like late in the evening.
Dude.
And I think I did that 4 to 6 times a week, just before we had to get into what we called getting our homework done or studying or having to write a paper, whatever it was, and just burn a good 30 minutes by just throwing the football. He's like, hey guys, you want to go toss it outside before we actually got to work. And everybody's like, yeah, I got 30 to burn.
Brother, what I wouldn't give to just transport back and just be standing in the little frat courtyard at Carolina,
just tossing
speakers outside, just jamming tunes and just slinging the pigskin around the yard. Some of my fondest memories. Great way to pass time.
I mean, these guys they had a perfect triangle going, just one guy to the next, and almost jumped in, made a little square.
Brought a little tear to your eyes. Oh yeah. How about this? I've almost buried the lead here coming up our Masters coverage. I got sent a lot of moon pie, Smylie. a lot of. I'm wearing like a moon pie shirt. I got sent a moon pie hat. I have a moon pie golf towel now, and you'll love this. I'm sampling new moon pie flavors. I mean, look how many boxes I've already opened up 2 of these moon pie boxes. I dug into those a little bit. So here's the good news is I'm not going to be wanting for desserts for a while.
Moon pie for Halloween.
I might turn into a moon pie with the amount of moon pies I'm going to consume. But that's the bad news, is that I thought I was coming off my yearly week-long moon pie binge at the Masters, and it ain't over, baby. I'm still binging.
You cannot shoot 2 of 17 from 3 and think you're beating Steph and Jimmy Buckets, a.k.a. Playoff Jimmy, Playoff him, Himmy, whatever you want to call him. You can't shoot that bad and compete in the playoffs versus the Warriors. SGA wasn't even that good. You want to talk about non-competitive series? People want to talk about getting rid of play-in. Maybe we need to get rid of the 8 seed, because this 8 seed got their ass.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers could be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum, and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We had 2 first-time winners on the PGA Tour this week, and this is a moment really for you to take a victory lap as you are officially heating up in beer pong terminology with your second one-and-done win of the season. Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin get it done at the Zurich Classic. There are a number of things we have to do to kind of tee up this discussion, Smylie. The first is thanks to our friends at Ahead, who we're going to do another expert team segment for Ahead this week, but this one's a little bit different. We're not talking about the caddy. This is a literal team, the only 2-man event the PGA Tour has on the calendar for the year, and these guys get it done. So Ahead is a strategic partner for enterprise clients, helping them navigate the path toward digital transformation, much like an expert caddy, reading the course ahead and providing the winning combination of technology and execution. Ahead has one of the most talented rosters of over 1,600 engineers in the world, each one obsessed with client success. More than 3,000 certifications, Ahead's deep technical expertise makes them adept at integrating complex technologies into holistic digital platforms. Learn more at ahead.com. So the expert team this week was Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin. And as you might remember, if you were listening to the show last year, we cold opened with some electric karaoke from Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry, last year's champs. We have another entry from Ben Griffin and Andrew Novak, and I'm just going to play a little snippet of this and let you be the judge as to how they did against Rory and Shane. So I guess none of these guys played an instrument growing up or had any form of music classes, but that didn't matter because they were focused on playing golf and winning tournaments. So Smylie, let's just kind of start with this is something that we thought, at least on Andrew Novak's side, we thought this was going to happen. I didn't know if this was going to happen as fast as it did after the conversation we had last week and the playoff he narrowly lost to Justin Thomas. You obviously did because you called it. What does this sort of represent in terms of a career progress for both these guys and just the validation of being a PGA Tour winner?
I mean, we're always evaluating these guys week in and week out. One of the things I didn't necessarily forecast or see was that neither of these guys could sing. Kind of thought that one of these guys might be able to carry the other. That was a tough scene, boys. I will say that I think Rory and Shane probably closed out Andrew and Ben 5 and 4. If we're going to compare and contrast,
it might have been 9 and 7. It might have been like a Victor Hovland, Ludwig Overg takedown.
To be fair, this is all about what song you choose. Like that, I understand "We Are the Champions" may feel like the right song, but if you go with "Don't Stop Believin'," now you got the crowd into this. You know, like they're singing too. Like you got to go "Sweet Child of Mine." Like you gotta know what the crowd's gonna give you. Like Colin Baton Rouge would have hit, because then you could have just stomped around and just did the mic like this, you know.
Well, a couple Carolina kids, like let's do, Going to Carolina in My Mind, or
just Jump,
or something like Blue like, Jump. Yeah, I mean, or yeah,
is that the Jump song? Was it?
What song?
I
think you're doing. Is it Van Halen? Jump.
Yep. Yeah, that one.
Okay. we might be the only two people on earth that are worse at karaoke than Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin.
No,
given by the judge
I love karaoke.
Give them some bluegrass tunes or something. A couple Carolina kids.
So We Are the Champions.
Ben went to Carolina. Come on now.
That's something that I must say when I go talk to these fellas. They should have just gone. I understand that that's what they probably should have done, but I thought there was a lot of potential there to just bring the house down, you know.
Very fair critique.
Like some Snoop Dogg, some wild stuff, man. Just get the people going.
Yeah, Ben Griffin keeping the aviator shades on in the night with the sun down and doing some Snoop Dogg. That would have been a sight to see. That would have done numbers on the PGA Tour X account, all socials really. But I mean,
yeah, to your point, I mean, this is it's not shocking to see they won, right? Like these were the two hottest players in the field outside of Rory and Shane. I was a little worried that Andrew just was going to run out of gas, but when you play with the Energizer Bunny and Ben Griffin, who plays every single week, that's kind of like the charge maybe that the batteries needed. And I think a lot of people don't know that these two guys are like really good buddies, like from their time down on the island. I actually have a pretty good story when it comes to these two. So during COVID, before the PGA Tour was back playing, there was an event in Sea Island where they had a bunch of pros play just to try to like get some competitive juices back going before the guys went out and started playing again. I wasn't getting into any PGA Tour events, but my agent said, "Hey, come down and play, just try to get some rust off." And there's a guy I'm going to pair you with, a guy named Andrew Novak. And at the time, his wife, I guess his girlfriend at the time, this would have been Maddie Myers, Randy Myers' daughter, who eventually went to go work for my agent, who I don't know if she still works there anymore. That's besides the point. Anyways, Andrew and I get paired up together. So him and I are playing like a similar type of deal. Like we're playing best ball. I don't think we did any alternate shot. But besides the story that Andrew carried me and that I played terribly, and I'm very sorry, Andrew, I held you back a year or two in this, is that who was caddying for Andrew Novak during this? Ben Griffin.
No way.
How about that? So Ben Griffin, this is in 2021.
This is while I was working the insurance job.
Dude, I'm like 99% sure that he was not playing at the time. I think he was thinking about coming back, but I had known Ben from being on the island, coming out of North Carolina, young player, and had spent some time with him on the road here and there, but really had seen him a bunch on the island. And, just didn't ever get it going. And of course, at that time, I think he's done. When he's caddying for Andrew Novak, this isn't like he's caddying for Patton Kizzire, who's like won twice on the PGA Tour. Andrew at the time, he still doesn't have status either. But after playing with him those couple of days, I'm like, this guy's so good. He had Monday qualified a time or two, and I think maybe he had gotten Korn Ferry Tour status, but I knew Andrew Novak was going to be a PGA Tour player for a long time after playing with him for those 2 days. And I feel bad I held him back.
Well, I think we've had this whole story about Ben Griffin is, return to golf. And really, I don't think you've received enough credit because maybe Ben was there that week and just was so inspired by the fact it's like, surely Andrew Novak can find a better partner to play with. And maybe I'm that guy. It's not Smylie Kaufman.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That was the magic of Tiger to me. Why did my mom care about when Tiger was playing? Because you might see something with every shot that you've never seen before. And that was, to me, the magnetic quality. And those guys have a little bit of that, but there aren't a ton of them. So to have those guys in the mix on the big weeks, it's great for the game.
The Smylie Show, only on SportsGrid.
The one clip I thought was pretty cool from last week at Hilton Head, in the winning interview, Justin Thomas was asked, "Hey, have you played with Andrew Novak before?" It's like, yeah, I actually joined up with him and Ben Griffin at the Travelers last year, and Novak had shot in 59 that day. So he was like, yeah, I've seen him play before. He played really good because him and Ben Griffin were just going at it that afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting too because I think it's a guy in Andrew that we've talked about so many episodes this year of just being so close and trying to kind of find, what that first PGA Tour win is going to be and how are you going to make that breakthrough. And it's sort of a soft entry to this in a way of having a guy there who also plays on tour, who can help manage your emotions or pick you up when you're not hitting it well. And, people talk about whether or not a team win is fully legitimate or counts as a PGA Tour win. Of course, it doesn't in a statistical sense, but in some ways, it's like it's nice to get this one won and in the books to kind of take some of the pressure off. Because I don't think this is it for Andrew Novak. I mean, going into this week, he was 11th on the Ryder Cup point standings. It wouldn't be a stretch at all. He would have to be one of the 6 captain's picks, but it wouldn't be a stretch at all to make him a captain's pick given his form and his place on that list. This is a guy whose game is trending in a huge way. Mm-hmm. I know we kind of texted about this offline. Like, how close to, I don't think you can call him a lock right now with 3 majors left, but like this guy's on your team right now, is he not?
Oh, it's still way too early to say whether he should or should not be on the team. Remember, this guy, how many majors has Andrew Novak played in to this point? I don't think he's played more than 2 would be my guess. I think his whole probably chance, or what do you got for me?
He's played 1 major, the 2022 U.S. Open, and missed the cut.
So if we're being fair here, and not being prisoner of the moment, and not just being just looking at how Andrew's played this, the beginning of the season, I was very critical in that I didn't think Luke Glover should have been on the team in Rome because he didn't play in any of the majors that season. He didn't qualify for any of them, but he had a really nice hot streak at the end of the year. I know speaking with captains and all of this and learning about how they pick these rosters, they use a lot of data and analytics to see how players match up with other guys. And I know you know this, but some guys just don't match up with other players, and some guys fit the bill perfectly. There could be let's just use a random name, a Wyndham Clark, right? Who's obviously a super talented player, but he may be a guy that matches up really well with a guy who may not have had a better season than an Andrew Novak. I don't know what the answer is going to be as of now, but he was 11th on the points list coming into the week. So he's
move up, you think?
Could he qualify? Well, he has an opportunity to, because he's inside the top 50 in the official World Golf Rankings. I don't know if they get points this week for the World Rankings, but if he probably doesn't. I can't imagine they do, right?
I'm trying to remember the exact. I know that we looked at the criteria as it relates to Ryder Cup points. I did not look at the OWGR criteria. Well,
for Zurich, do they get points for Zurich?
Do you know? I do not know.
I don't think they would.
Let me
right?
Look this up. Yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head, and nothing's popping up right now. But I'd say this: it
doesn't change anything. He's still he's gonna get 3 at bats.
And given what you saw this week with the contrasting styles and the way these 2 guys paired together, not saying Ben Griffin can go out and play well the rest of the season and also make this Ryder Cup team, but assuming that Andrew is probably closer than Ben is right now, what profile of player that is maybe higher on that list could you see Andrew pairing well with on an American Ryder Cup team?
I mean, it's so hard to say, because Andrew's strengths are he's a really good ball striker, and he's been a poor putter to this point, but he's had a really, a better putting season. He's hit it just as good as he ever has. And, Ryder Cup, so you kind of need guys to make putts. So I'm not sure exactly where he slots in with that. When you just look at the golf course, though, Andrew Novak doesn't hit a short, but he flushes it. Probably would pair up well in an alternate shot, but it's still way too early, and I don't want to just say that that I think Keegan Bradley's most likely going to go with experience on this team. So a guy like Andrew really, really has to play his way on this team and has to be a shoe-in. He can't be relying on just hey, I've had a really good year, I should make the team. You have to do more than that. You have to go to Quail Hollow and be in contention, or finish have a couple top 10s, but I think it's going to take him getting into contention in one of these last 3 majors. Just because I think Keegan's going to really be relying on experience. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The route he has to go, to your point, is the one that Wyndham Clark and Brian Harmon did a few years back, where it's like if you go win, you're going to qualify. And Wyndham Clark, in similar fashion, was a guy whose game trended over the course of that season, and he won at Quail Hollow for what was the Wells Fargo prior to winning the U.S. Open at LACC, and it was that sort of steady build of this guy. We knew he had the talent, but we hadn't seen him, win a golf tournament convincingly prior to that sort of trend and form. It feels like Andrew Novak is kind of on a similar trajectory with the way this season's playing out, and if that run of form continues and he contends or even wins one of these majors, he should be right there and have a chance.
Yeah, it's what a run though he's had. I mean, Farmers, he obviously had a chance. He finished, I guess, third over there, but he's just gone third, second. He's just gone third, second, first in 3 weeks in a row. I mean, just a really incredible stretch that he's put together. Couldn't be more happy for him. He's a grinder. He's plays the chip on his shoulder type of kid, and really likable too. Very smart. I love the way he plays. He's fast, and we talked about this last week after Hill Ned. Not many guys have like such, insightful conversations on the golf course. Feels like you're watching Jordan at times when he's just talking through everything that's in his head. And I think that makes for good TV. And again, I love seeing him win with Ben. And I think just seeing them both kind of push through, knowing that it's hard to win on the PGA Tour and neither of them been able to do it to this point, coming up close multiple times. I could think of Ben Griffin, how close he was in winning in Jackson, I guess 2 years ago, kind of let that one get away. He's had a couple other opportunities on some back nines, and hey man, it's pretty cool when you got one of your best friends out there and y'all do it together. So it should help them, I imagine, for the next time they have that opportunity. And that was a pretty dang cool putt he had on 17. And if you haven't seen it too, on Ben Griffin's putt, there was an angle they showed where there was like a chick that fell over in the background. Did you happen to see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Dude,
no.
You got it. Let me show
That's
this.
amazing. Well,
all right, pull up your Twitter right now.
Okay,
I've just sent this to you.
All right, fantastic. Well, we're doing it live. Yeah, I saw. I thought the funny part that I saw was more so that he was he like turned to find Andrew to celebrate with him.
It was a lot going on, but what you don't
is happening?
There's so many tree falling in the background.
Let's see here. Oh, just a bit outside. Well, there you go. There is a lot happening there. Huge putt essentially wins in the tournament at that point. Did you follow at all the TIO situation with the Højgaard brothers on 18 today?
I was still driving, so I had heard there was a TIO situation. Like I heard he big miss to the left, and then there was a hospitality thing that gave him a much better lie. They pushed it up, they make birdie. They finished second.
They did, and it was
birdie 18, right?
They buried 18, and it was, I mean, off the tee, like an uncharacteristic huge left miss. Thought the ball might have been out of bounds. Had a whole search party, fans going around looking for it. And I'm kind of split, prepping for the show, doing all sorts of stuff, thinking, all right, they're cooked. Who's up next? They have this thing won. And then you just kind of hear in the background, oh no, wait a second, they're getting this insane relief where they're actually going to have a shot at. I believe it was Nikolai hit the second shot. He did not go for the green. He laid it up, and then Rasmus had a nice wedge in there, and they made birdie. But it was a huge swing in the tournament. If Ben does not birdie 17, and also Jake Knapp kind of in that same group, made a mess of that hole, and they had a chance to maybe tie for second or finish solo second. It would have been very interesting coming down the stretch. But Ben, of course, does make the putt. Andrew can lay up out to the left. They can play the hole, just in a very simple fashion to make sure they win the tournament. But it was wild. It was wild.
Yeah, and
a lot of outrage on the internet about that.
Yeah, which is understandable on that. You liked the Højgaard brothers coming into the week. So that was actually one of your better calls. Unfortunately, your pick missed the cut. We'll just briefly mention that. And I think it begs the question now. There probably should be a prop bet up is will Smylie win more one and done picks this year, or pick more winners than Charlie miscuts
or makes cuts?
Yeah,
I think that's I mean, I am.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
I am a miscut machine. I had a good laugh about this today because I was thinking about the conversation you and Max Homa had a while back, where you're like comparing your seasons of miscuts. I'm like, I'm right there with one and done this season.
Are we ready to build the graphic?
We might have to build the graphic because it is a tough scene. I mean, God bless Tommy Fleetwood. And I think Sepp Straka had a big finish earlier in the season that helped me out a little bit. Otherwise, I'd be picking Corn Ferry Tour events right now. That's where I'd be. It's bad. It's very,
That'd be tough
bad.
too, because 30 under is hard to pick. This week on the Corn Ferry Tour was quite the scene.
Insane.
Arlington every year, man. Apparently that golf course is a pitch and putt.
Well, that's actually a perfect sort of transition there because, I was laughing at this. The headline this week, or the not necessarily the headline, but one of the headlines was Blades Brown, who shot the lowest round by a player under 18 on the PGA Tour or Corn Ferry Tour. So I see this because it was his opening round, and I guess it maybe didn't hit my radar until Saturday, and I look at the leaderboard, and I'm like, how in the world is he? Like he was like tour to win this tournament at 30 under. I mean, can you imagine that?
That's insane.
Blades was like 61, 67, 66, 63. He finishes tied for second at 27 under. But I mean, he needed another 63 to back up the 61 he opens with to get it to where he did. So, I mean, just a wild, wild week there. But the interesting thing with Blades, and I think I just kind of want to tee you up here so you can explain this a little bit, is that Blades is trying to kind of figure out how he's going to have some sort of status going forward on a tour, right? And we've kind of documented this since he made his professional debut at the Amex, and the way he has to kind of balance sponsor exemptions on the Corn Ferry Tour versus the PGA Tour. And so the Corn Ferry Tour caps sponsor exemptions at 4 for the entire season. He's now used 3 of those, and he is currently at 185, has 185 points, and he needs 238 to earn a special temporary membership that allows him unlimited sponsor exemptions going forward for the rest of the season. So he's 53 points away from that. So you might be saying, okay, wow, he's got to do it in this next start. That is not the case, because by virtue of that T2 this week, he gets in next week without needing a sponsor exemption. Can you just explain the strategy, from Blade's perspective, what he's trying to achieve here and how he can use the rest of his starts this season to at least earn his Corn Ferry Tour status heading into the following season?
Wait, what did he finish this week, you said?
Tied for second at 27 under.
He finished T2. Wow.
Yeah. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players tied for second. Joshua Creel, Zach James, Julian Surrey, Tyson Alexander. Yeah.
Okay. God, dude, Tyson Alexander, he's won there twice. He absolutely tears that place up. All right. So Blades is in a super unique position because it reminds me a lot of when Jordan, after he had turned pro and he was trying to figure out, all right, what do I do here? Because I believe he had just played well in the Korn Ferry Tour, maybe in like Bogota, finished somewhere inside the top 25. I think it was probably somewhere in the top 5, really, or maybe it's Panama. And so he's got that decision of, okay, do I go play in Puerto Rico or do I take this top 25 exemption into the next week and keep on trying to parlay good play on the Korn Ferry Tour into like special temporary status into eventually getting your card through the Korn Ferry Tour. So what Jordan Spieth did, if you all remember, he went and played in Puerto Rico and finished second to Scott Brown, I believe, who won. So there was no right answer. Like, for instance, this week, Blades Brown has a sponsor's invitation to the CJ Cup at the Byron Nelson in Dallas. So the situation that he has got to figure out now is, okay, I have 3 sponsors exemptions I've already used on the Korn Ferry Tour, like you talked about. And there, of course, he gets one more, but after a top 25, now that's the free exemption. So for example, for now Blades, he will have 5 total I guess opportunities without Monday qualifying. So it makes a lot of sense for him to go and use that, but it's the same type of the rolling of the dice where he could have gone and played in the Byron, and who knows what happens. Maybe he goes to finish second. There's no right answer or right or wrong answer in what you do here, but I think most people would suggest is to go to Mexico, which he is doing. I texted his agent.
Career season for Ellie De La Cruz. It happened last year. One of the most popular players in baseball as well. And a lot of guys are stealing bases again, and some of them seem like they may be able to steal more bases than Ellie De La Cruz on the Cincinnati Reds. So I will ask you this question, Tom. Buy or sell, De La Cruz will lead the league in steals this season?
Sell. I sell on this. I'm not going to say it's already because he's just a handful behind, but there's another Cruz that could easily lead the league in steals, and that's O'Neal Cruz. But like you said, there are a lot of players stealing. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, is always a viable option. Victor Scott, we know it can be very good. I think that's where we'll see things end up. The fact that he did so last year and he was the odds-on favorite to lead the league in steals this year, I just don't see it repeating. And frankly, there's going to be a point where maybe the Reds need to protect him. Like, they need him to be healthy. You don't want him potentially risk himself on any further injury if they're going to make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll catch fire. I'm going to buy this. And the Reds went for about a week and a half without basically scoring a run. I do think as the weather heats up, he will get on base more. It has been, as I've said, a wintry April in a lot of different locations. And I can't quite figure out why the Reds, especially at home, are not hitting like they have in the past. And I'm just going to put it down as weather and nothing else. So I'm going to say De La Cruz at the end of the year does it. The competition, and Tom brought up a great point. O'Neal Cruz certainly off to a great start too, but I'm going to end up buying this, and I think 85 steals again for Ellie De La Cruz, somewhere along those lines. Yeah, why not?
Fantasy Sports Today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
There is a story that's kind of big picture golf right now, applies to this season, which is interesting, but about the Tour Championship playoff format that was floating around. Dylan DeChere wrote this for golf.com, and just some reporting on what's been said publicly around a playoff format that should change and could change for this season, which is, unprecedented in a lot of different ways. Not since the TGL hammer rule change in midseason have we seen such a progressive and fluid changing of the rules. But, effectively to summarize that story, there were quotes from Scotty Scheffler that was basically saying, there were some really good ideas. There were some really silly, dumb ones too. And we're getting closer to where we need to be on that. There are quotes from Adam Scott, who effectively said, as much as people are clamoring for match play, that the players did not want to play a format for the Tour Championship that was materially different from stroke play that they play all season long. They found that to be silly. There were some thoughts from Kevin Kisner that says he's got an idea as to what it could be, but he didn't want to spoil it before it being officially announced. There are apparently some meetings that involved, Sam Burns and other committee members. Yeah, the Player Advisory Council met at the RBC Heritage and reached that preferred format. There are rumors that there could be a narrowing down of the field size, like that you're still playing stroke play, but you go 16 to 8 to 4, and I don't know how that works as a televised product. So, given these reports, Smylie, and your thoughts on this previously, where do you kind of net out here as to what you'd like to see and what you've heard is actually going to happen?
Well, I don't have my ears to the ground quite as much as I did when I was probably out on the road, when you kind of heard all the, kind of the executive talk of what they've been trying to push for from a network standpoint. And of course, NBC has the playoffs this year. CBS has it next year, and I think it alternates for future playoff events. I know TV pushed for, I think, some match play on the weekend, but the players push back on this, kind of like you mentioned. They play an entire year based off of stroke play, and the players just couldn't wrap their head around, determining their entire season with match play. And it can be kind of a clunky TV product if you lose the 1 and 2 seeds, is what kind of I believe Adam Scott kind of noted in one of these little snippets of one of these interviews. Listen, I think if you get the 8 guys playing on Sunday, or if they cut it to 4, I'm not sure exactly how many it was, I think it could be really interesting, but it just kind of feels like a Monday qualifier to me. It's just like a shootout. It's just like a member guest type of one-day shootout for however much money they're playing for. I know they're not going to start, right, Charlie, with at square, like at even, like if they all qualify for that Sunday, is it a one day takes all type of deal? That kind of seems stupid. Like if you're basing an entire year off of stroke play, well, why would you just change your entire way you judge the format if you cut down to a certain number? You have to assume it's based off of how they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then you get to Sunday, and they, instead of having 8 guys having opportunity, it doesn't make sense. Like none of it really does make sense to me.
Well, it's interesting because I'm very intrigued to see something definitive on what this is going to be, because all these suggestions could be a very compelling television product, but then you kind of have to ask yourself, like, who is this product for? Because if part of the reason why you're going to Atlanta, Georgia in mid to late August is because of the support you're getting from Coca-Cola and other, local sponsors and all the hospitality they get out of this, it doesn't feel like a very compelling product to have, your tents, you're camped out at this one spot and you're just seeing 4 guys come through on Sunday. And if you're, someone who's a fan who's kind of trying to walk around the grounds and follow groups, I mean, I thought there were a lot of people at the Masters following around Rory and Bryson. I mean, can you imagine if they're just, 2 twosomes? I just don't know how that works from a fan perspective. And so, and it's okay if everyone agrees that they're going to do something creative on site to make it worth their time. And, this is really and truly going to be this big, compelling television product. But I just don't know how you solve for that. And so if it is indeed like a staggered, like we keep starting strokes for Thursday, Friday with a field of 32.
There's no more starting strokes is what they're talking about. No more starting strokes, no more match play, and 8 players advance to Saturday and the top 4 advance to Sunday. And then 5 to 8 basically play for the final position.
But so what reward do you get for having for being
that's
number
what
one on the
that's
list?
what makes no sense is that's what Scotty was complaining about at Eastlake this year, talking about how good his year was, and said basically, it's I have a 2-stroke lead, and I think the argument that we all said was it feel like he should probably have closer to a 6 to 8 shot lead starting this golf tournament, and that's kind of what he kind of complained about. But we also know how stupid it was when our boy Stevie Sands got the whiteboard up, crunching all the numbers, trying to figure out, okay,
who's finishing
Justin
where.
Rose can win the tournament, but he can't earn enough points based off his starting position in the FedEx Cup to win the Tour Championship. So Tiger Woods or Justin Thomas is going to be the champion. That's a terrible format, like how that is. I personally feel that the starting strokes thing, I know people hate it, but at least when you turn on the TV, it looks like what's going on, right?
I agree. I mean, I think that the suggestion I make is very similar to what you're just outlining there, which is to say that the starting strokes don't have to be the same every year. Like that, whatever you want to do some sort of like Steve Sands whiteboard thing that happens behind closed doors that none of us see, and then we show up and it's like, guess what? This year, Scotty's starting 16 under. And whoever's a second is they're at 10 under, and just essentially quantifying based on the FedEx Cup points list for the year, what the actual it's representative of the, and so then, but the problem is like it creates a snoozer of a tournament if someone like Scotty dominates the way he did last year, and there's no real compelling reason to watch it. And so the second thing would be like, so what do? Do you give him a bye? So if I'm Scotty Scheffler and it's like, okay, I don't have to play Thursday, Friday, I just get to fast forward to Saturday. Is that helpful? Like, do I want to be kind of playing, getting in a rhythm the first 2 days, or do I want to show up cold and some guy can come from 30 or 25 who kind of found a rhythm and played the course and got a feel for it on Thursday and Friday, and they can race past me on Saturday because they're kind of ramping up to playing their best golf and I'm just getting started. I don't know what the answer is there.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Second game of doubleheader. We don't know exactly who's going to be in the lineup, and maybe you get an extended game number 1, which means tired bullpens and closers used up, which aren't available for game number 2, and maybe finding some extra shots here. But I do think the pitching matchup more susceptible, Tom, to runs here.
This is part of what we look at. Like I said, I don't expect both teams to win. So we have a pitcher who may not be sustainable at 28.6, but he's playing well right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Players feel like the playoffs is the season-long race, and it is. That's what the slogan says. The problem, I think, is can you find a way to make the playoffs completely separate from the tour or from the overall regular season? You've got to find a way to make the regular season title end and then the playoffs be just a totally different format to where, okay, this is, you might have two completely separate winners. And I don't know if that's the right or wrong thing to do. But right now it seems that seems to be the issue with me. And then also, I think, like you said a second ago, I think East Lake's an incredible venue, but if you've been in Atlanta in late August, there couldn't be a worse place to be as far as weather goes. And same goes with Memphis. Just, overbearingly hot. Yeah. I think you got the West Coast, you got going up north and playing. It feels like that is the way the tour should find a way to either get on the West Coast in prime time, play on some cool, whether it's Pebble Beach. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But if you fix the venue, you fix where the potential way this whole thing is branded and separating the regular season and the playoffs, I think the fans will be like, all right, cool. I'll sign up for like sick golf course and like really good crowds, right?
Yeah, just like, three golf courses you haven't seen before, where there's an intrigue factor and it's in a unique sort of place. You touched on it a little bit there and analyzing the way you can make this all work. And it's something that, I think I said before on some of these previous shows where it's like the international football model of like league competition and cup competition, in my opinion. And honestly, the way, you probably right size that is you make the regular season money more lucrative. Like if I could have swapped anything out and make any changes I want to, I make the regular season the FedEx Cup, and that has this big payment. And then I take Comcast and say, these are the Comcast playoffs. It's 3 events. We're going to fun places. And there is a big purse assigned for, the guys that made the kind of cut and made it into this thing, but we're starting fresh. You guys are in. You got all your money from playing well for the season through the FedEx Cup.
Yeah.
And now we're just going to do something fun and different, to kind of close.
Here's an argument. Here's an argument to that, is that when they flash all the winners of the Tour Championship at the end of the year, as a viewer, for the most part, there's been like a couple instances where maybe a Billy Horschel didn't necessarily have the best year, but got extremely hot, had an incredible playoffs, and end up accumulating enough points with like quadruple amount of points because he won, 2 or 3 different times during that whole stretch of like 4 events.
Yeah.
Where he won the Tour Championship at the end of the year. But for the most part, when you go and look at all of the winners from the Tour Championship since they started this, for the most part, it's been one of the best players that season. And what I would hate to happen is if you got on a run, and maybe this wouldn't happen, is that let's say you have the regular season champion, then you go to this playoffs like you're talking about, and then you don't necessarily have the player that's won that's had the best season win. And I know that's what we talk about. Like, hey, if you're cool with that, like in soccer,
yeah.
It's just, you gotta be cool with it.
I think it's more intriguing because I think it's like, because we've seen Cinderella teams make cup runs that are improbable, juxtaposed against their actual season. Shoot, I'm a Tottenham fan. Tottenham damn near got relegated from the Premier League this season, but they have this one last shot to win this European Cup competition that could salvage the whole season for the fan base. So if you're a player who's had up and down form, but you made it into whatever the cutoff we're going to make for these playoff events, if it is indeed 70, you made it to the top 70, and we're the most important thing remains the FedEx Cup. And that is the thing we're saying is this is our season-long race. Last year, Scotty Scheffler, you win it going away. You get the most amount of money.
Like you feel like you got
That's
a chance.
Fine. But then
if you make the playoffs, like you legitimately have a chance.
Well, and it just becomes sort of a fun thing of like, guess what? Billy Horschel had a great run and won it this season. We're not saying it's like it. Let's call it the Comcast Cup. We're not saying the Comcast Cup represents a whole season of dominance. It just meant that this group of players made it into the top 70, and then we did this fun little season-ending thing that had a weighted money against it, and you had the Cinderella winner. Some years it's going to just be Scotty Scheffler that wins, but the FedEx Cup and the Comcast Cup. Other years you're going to have some sort of variance. I think it's a compelling storyline. Now the only thing that you maybe lose a little bit there is historic winners of each of these events, but you almost get that unless you're going to cut the field size down. You almost get that back a little bit, because last year, it's Colin Morikawa should have won the Tour Championship, but they altered the format of the starting strokes. When you look back at the history of the event, Scottie Scheffler was the winner of that event. Does that barely represent the tournament history? I don't know. I think anything you do,
you make a good point there.